welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is March 6th, 2026. I got a lot of tweets for you to talk about, but as always, this is not financial advice. This is all just my own biased opinions. Let's get right into it. So a quick look at ETH chart and so forth. ETH is down about 4% today, 4 to 5%. So just another red candle after yesterday's red candle, but it's not all-time low. The floor hasn't fallen out or anything, so it's looking kind of nice inside a concentrated liquidity range. Gold is up. So as I speculated the other day, it's gold kind of is in the inverse of ETH and crypto, like BTC as well is down, right? So it kind of seems like gold is the inverse of those assets. So maybe you can put some gold with some ETH or some BTC or something and have a liquidity position on those. I don't have enough juice to do that, but I might think about it because it might sit in a nice comfortable range. But anyways, let's move on to the news. So let's jump right into Pharos again. I'm really enjoying these little daily digests on stable coins. I think they're pretty interesting. So let's just jump right into the first part here. The sharpest supply story is DAI, the stablecoin DAI, which printed $170 million in a single day. Now, I think I should try to find out why. Like, as far as I know, like DAI is supposed to be migrated completely to USDS, and the actual exposure risk and technology behind them is identical, as far as I know. So I don't know why DAI is getting minted, right? I would think maybe they would just like tell people, like, I know they can't stop it probably. They're smart contracts. They're still DAI. They can't turn them off. So, but why are people minting DAI when they can mint USDS? I don't know. This is a question that I'd like to know. If you know the answer, then feel free to comment below wherever you're hearing this or seeing this. Moving on, we have a B-related coin with a liquidity score of 68, accelerating that sharply without a corresponding peg event is worth watching. Either demand arrived in a hurry or someone is building a position before something moves. Okay, so that's the speculation from the AI dude, the AI at Pharos. So Gwen, meanwhile, sits 2,900 bips below peg on 4.7 million, an F safety score and liquidity of 10. A coin so structurally compromised that its depeg is less an event than a condition. Oh, it's funny. AI is sometimes so funny. Anyhow, so I don't know what this Gwyn is. Maybe I can check it out, but it doesn't really matter to me because I don't hold it. But let's see what it is anyways. Gwyn. So Gwen is a centralized CeFi real-world asset-backed Japanese yen. Yeah, so it's wrecked. Anyhow, poor guys. 49 blacklist actions in the 24 hours. So 1.9 million with 5 USDC destroy events, according to the nearly 1.4 between them. All on Tron or Ethereum. So USDC continues to blacklist and burn people's USDT, right? Ethereum, CUSD resolved 2 separate depegs. I'm not sure which CUSD this is because there are 2 of them. So I'm not sure if it's CAP or Cello. It might be Cello because it's a capital C, but I'm not sure. So 2 separate depeg events on that stable coin. PMUSD cleared 300 bips on just as quickly. I don't I don't know what that means. 3 clean recoveries on coins above 100 million, while the PSI barely blinks, is exactly what functional plumbing is supposed to look like. So yeah, so there's some news for you on stablecoins. There's nothing in there that I hold really, except maybe a little bit of DAI. I do have some DAI in an old wallet on like Alchemix that I borrowed against, and it's kind of like stuck there because like I don't have the money to repay my debt. But anyways, that'll be migrated soon anyway, so I'll be okay. Moving on. So here we have. So this is my feed. So I'm gonna skip that one. So here I have this guy. I don't know who this guy is. This Lane on the blockchain, Crypto Siberia. So he's so it's a good thing. It's an AI tweet. Okay, so this guy Matt Schumer did a tweet about Chat GPT 5.4, and he says coding is essentially solved in that long tweet. And then Lane on the blockchain says, "I'm getting exhausted with this constant. Okay, the latest model automates away coding for real this time." And then Scoopy jumps in and says, "It's good but unreliable for prod if unverified by humans." And then I reported, "The only thing I would trust it for is reports, which are grains of salt." So, like I think it's in like I think maybe a front end is not as bad as actual smart contracts. Like smart contracts, like a front end is still, you can still exploit smart contracts with front ends, or you can still phish people, or you can still lose people's money, but it's a little less dangerous than using AI to code actual smart contracts, because smart contracts are the actual rules that hold the money, whereas front ends generally interact with those smart contracts, just make interacting with those smart contracts easier and more user friendly. So I think maybe if we start with like AI working on front ends, and this is what I do. Like I have a front end dev friend, and I don't want to ask him to do lots and lots of work. So sometimes if I want to do a small edit on a front end that I have, then I will, I'll use Claude or something, and I'll just it just saves me time, because it's like instead of like copying and pasting and like adjusting, and I just kind of like give Claude the information, give them the source code that's already there, and just say like add these modules, or add this content to it, blah blah blah. And this Pharaoh's dashboard here is a fantastic example of using Claude to code up a front end. Like this thing doesn't allow, there's no wallet connect. So you can't lose your money using this. It's just data. So it's like what I'm saying about reports and stuff like that. So I think, AI is fantastic, and it's making people faster and more resilient. And it's not a bad tool in the sense it's not evil. It's not malicious. And it's very fantastic for devs to use to do like sanity checks and additional peer review, right? So, but you kind of still you can't just trust the bot, right? It's just, there's too much hallucinations in it, and even like, yeah, it's just you just gotta be careful, okay? So let's moving on. Here we have Leo Lanza. He's like, "I'm buying more ETH." He's like, "This report is a laughable joke, not based on sound economic reasoning." He's like, "Imagine someone in the early 2000s claiming that increasing computer memory was bearish and would lead to the decline of computers. Back then, the average USB had held 8 megabytes, and today they're 128 gigabytes." So yeah, there's a retweet of a sharing of an article. So Nick Crypto says he's bearish ETH because of this. Culper research just came out. Now, I haven't read this research article, and I'm talking about it as if, I don't know, like I probably should read it before I talk about it, but I haven't read it, but I do have it on my desk now, and I will share it in the tweet that shares out this podcast, so then you can kind of look a little bit deeper. But it doesn't actually, like Nick doesn't actually share the article. So it's like, okay, thanks, Nick. But so yeah, I'll share Lanzo's tweet, and then you can dig deeper and see if you can find out any more information, and so forth. Okay, let's move on. So Curve Finance today calls out Pancake Swap, saying you're still like you're using our code, and it's a licensed code, so you have to deal with the licensing and collaboration. And the way they said it's pretty nice. It's like if you want to enjoy using StableSwap without legal problems, and to borrow some of our expertise and keep users safe, you can still contact us for licensing and collaboration. And then there's a picture here of like just a bit of code that Pancake Swap has created. They're calling it Stable Swap Hook. And beside the license, it says to do, which license should we use? Now, I find that to be, I don't know why they have underlined this. Like, I assume the Curve Finance license doesn't say to do, which license should we use, because then it's allowed to be forked. I said it pretty clearly below Gabriel's post. So Gabriel Shapiro kind of just, I guess he retweeted or he commented on it and said, "Tell me you hate your in-house counsel without telling me." Like, so, and then I replied to him and I just said, like, I'm missing some context here. Did the OG code have this, like, which license should we use? And if that's the case, then it's allowed to be forked. And if not, then how does this indicate that it was forked, right? Now, I assume, there was probably a bunch of other code that they could use to indicate that it was forked. But why have they shared this, which license should we use thing? Okay. Okay, let's moving on. So here you have Cap Money. This is the other CUSD that I was talking about this morning at first when we were talking about stablecoins. And they've got a pretty big news here. Basically, it says like a 31 million delegation from EtherFi is slated to arrive tomorrow, marking the first time that delegated TVL is higher than stablecoin TVL. So what does that mean? That means EtherFi has made this is what I understand, okay? I could be wrong, so maybe Cap can correct me. But what I understand this means is EtherFi is now going to put up enough collateral that some entity can borrow $31 million from Cap Money and go put that money to work. So that entity has convinced EtherFi that they need $31 million to yield farm or to generate yield with, and EtherFi is like, yeah, that's good. I'll back that. And then so basically, what's going to happen here is there's going to be a demand for more Cap CUSD to be minted, and because the API, the borrow rate should go up. Okay, so we'll see what happens exactly. But let's take a quick look at Cap's. Let's use Pharaohs and see if it has a good amount of data here. Market cap is 110 million. So that doesn't quite make exact sense to me, because 31 million, like what they say here, is slated to the first time a delegated TVL is higher than a stablecoin TVL. Yeah, I don't understand that sentence. Maybe someone can clarify it for me, because they have 110 million in market cap, and I assume that is how much stablecoins there are in circulation. But maybe a lot of it's already taken and put to work. But anyhow, let's move on. So here's Liquidity, one of my favorite stable coins, and he's talking about bold yield stats historically. So you can kind of go through and see some 90-day delta historic APYs are pretty good. So, and it's comparing them to S bold, Y bold. So we have capital and Yearn versions, right? And then you're comparing that to two other interest-bearing stablecoins, which is SUSD, SUSDS, and SUSDE Athena and Sky Ecosystem, and we've got like 10, 9, 4, 3. So bold is continuously being fantastic source of yield for stablecoin farmers if it's something you like. And keep in mind that like this is not emissions. There's no token emissions, no lockups, no vesting, no dependency on TradFi, no ambiguity. It's just like solid stuff. Just no matter what, I'm going to keep shoving this thing down people's throats, whether for whatever reason. Like I hold bold, so I'm biased in that sense. I want the stablecoin to have more stability. But that's pretty much where my biases end right now. Okay, Jordy from Cryptoland says, Morpho is growing like crazy. We just went through a massive cycle of lending category between May and October 2025. Lending TVL exploded from 40 billion to 83 billion, but then came from a crash of October 2025 to March 2025. This shrank by 35% to 52 billion. While the rest of the market was retreating, Morpho was growing. In 2025, Morpho had a 7.8 market share and now sits at 11. Now, why is this? It's because Morpho is isolated lending. You can select your collateral risk quite easily. There's a lot of options. So it's when you go to Morpho, there's so many options that it becomes like kind of cumbersome. Like it's like you go into a candy store and there's like just so many colorful candies everywhere, and you're just like, I don't know what to take, right? So then people start looking at APY, and which is a big mistake. You want to check your collaterals. So Aave is easy. That's why Aave has so much money. They have the Lindy effect. They have a track record, but you are exposed to all of the collateral on Aave. But they are pretty good historically at assessing those collaterals and not allowing collateral into the system that is suspicious or uncomfortable or whatever, whatever you want to call it, right? Just bad collateral. Whereas Morpho has no filter at all. Any collateral can be added to any market. However, those individual collaterals then have to attract individual lenders. So it becomes like the isolation's fantastic. Now, there is another protocol out there that's the same, and it's called Silo. And I think Silo was first. I'm not sure. Maybe we can do a quick check on DeFi Llama. I'm not sure if DeFi Llama has this kind of information. But let's go to Silo Finance. And let's see if there's if I can find anywhere, when was this thing? Yeah, I guess it doesn't. I'll have to do a little bit of research, but I believe Silo was, I guess I could use the Twitter account. Maybe I'll do that. Let's just check the Twitter account. So Morpho, I'm just going to put use Morpho's Twitter and compare that to Silo's Twitter and see. So this Morpho joined October 2025. Really? No, that can't. So but anyway, I guess, no, this must be the wrong Morpho, but I guess it's not. Whereas Silo joined Twitter 2020. Now, so like Silo, I think, was first, and Morpho kind of liked their idea, but Morpho is successful at attracting large lenders and deploying to like a lot of chains, and all the curators are using Morpho, so there might be something in the system that I'm not sure why they're successful, whereas Silo, which apparently was very first, hasn't been able to attract as much, and it probably has something to do with like under the table token allocations, if that makes sense to you. Anyhow, I'd like to understand this a little bit better. I find this very strange that Morpho has only 4,000 followers and joined. This must be a new account. They must have lost their account and they had to remake it or something. I don't know. Anyhow, let's move on to something else. Let's bring this over here so I can mention these guys. Stacy and Gabriel are talking. So Stacy says, sad to admit it, but for 98% of Web3 teams with a token, the only out is a pivot. Abandon the original project, copy the code, start a new company with no token, try better with TGE this time. No dev success can outbeat the sell pressure from people who got wrecked on your token and are selling each time there is a minimal green candle. Yeah, it's pretty sad. Like it takes a lot of grit to get through exploits and or even just bad token launches. It takes a substantial amount of grit, and like what she's saying is quite clear and undisputable for the most part. It does, like you I wouldn't say only option, like you can keep grinding, right? But it's tough to recover a token that dumps in the first little while. But then Gabriel says, sad to admit it, but everyone, including you, will literally advocate for rugs when other options are available. It's called a restructuring businesses. It's called a restructuring. Businesses do it all the time. Or, yeah. So I don't know. I don't really agree completely with Saprio. I think he's kind of agreeing with me, that saying like, everyone just would just do the same thing. But it's tough to actually recover from those bad things. But some of them can, and it also depends on like when you launched, and like, do you continue to ship? If you continue to ship, but it's so much easier to just like take your code, change your PFPs, redeploy, especially like with like anonymous deployments and anonymous launches. Yeah, so take that into account. Think about it. Let's moving on. So here we have some news from Frax. This is interesting. So Frax says KRWQ is coming to Curve, and they've chosen FRX USD as their default stablecoin to pair with for productive liquidity. Frax FX is only going to grow. So like KRWQ is a Korean won stablecoin, which I'm more than happy to welcome to the ecosystem. The more stablecoins, the better. I think that's fantastic. I'm not going to use it because I don't want to follow the Korean won price chart, right? But I think it's great that they're doing it, and I plan to do a tweet on Frax pretty soon to kind of show you the scope of Frax. Like Frax, in my opinion, of all the projects in DeFi, Frax is the most successful at building their footprint. They are massive, okay? Like they have so much exposure to so much, and it's just fantastic to see one ecosystem build so much. And I'll kind of list it out soon in a tweet, but I thought I would drop this here now and kind of show you that, Frax just keeps motoring away, just keeps building. They use the Frax, actual Frax governance coin, or whatever you want to call it. It's heavily used for rewards. So I'm not going to declare that coin itself is a fantastic buy opportunity. It's hard to get yield on it unless you LP and stuff. And it's, like I said, there's quite a bit of emissions of it going out for all kinds of stuff. But Frax is such a fantastic ecosystem of suite of projects and products that I just can't help but keep approving it and saying it's awesome. Okay, let's moving on. So here we have Yearn. So last week, or this week, the last few days, we've heard a lot of news about Aave just kind of having the drama about Aave Labs and Stanny and what's his friggin' name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Like the DAO kind of separating and stuff like that. So there's this thing called Cowboy Vaults. It's like the research development test in prod vaults for Yearn. So Yearn has always done this. Before they had one, it was called ape.tax. And I think that's been like kind of deprecated in the sense that it's still there. You can still go to it, but it's not maintained So I wouldn't deposit any assets there. And even Cowboy Vaults is highly like risky in the sense that it they're test and prod. So it's how they test their vaults. They build them. They put them here on Cowboy Vaults, and then if you want to use them, you can, but you don't have to. You can wait until the actual official Yearn vaults approve those strategies and add them to their main vaults, right? But here is a strategy here about Aave, and it says borrows USDC using WBTC collateral from Aave, then farms YUSD. So I guess you would deposit WBTC in here, and then it would go and automatically borrow some USDC, farm, put that USDC in the Yearn vault, farm APY, and then occasionally just pull out the yield and buy some more WBTC and add it to your BTC stack. Okay, so yeah, you can check it out if it's something you want to do. Again, it's like those are unaudited test and prod vaults, so be careful about them. Moving on. So Pandora has another question today, which I like it. It's like yesterday I talked about Pandora's question about the killing or the guy, I can't remember his name because it's not Bob Smith, right? Becoming the president or the leader of Iran and then being killed in that same question, right? And then here is a much more positive spin question, and it's like ceasefire and the end of the war in Iran before October 2026. So that's quite a ways away. What is it? We got March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. That's like 7 months from now. Well, 6 months from now. Will there be a ceasefire? And I don't know who created this. That's the whole point of this protocol, is anyone can create this question. So if you have questions like this, what I would suggest you to do is if you're going to do yes, no, regular AMA type questions, build them so that they are long-term questions that will get lots of volume, because if you are providing liquidity to them, you're going to basically be selling your winning tokens for your to buy losing tokens. So unless you take positions yourself, right? So yeah, check it out. Check out this question as well as all the other questions that are on that platform. Okay, so here we have ETH strategy, and it says ETH strategy is bold, and he's replying to Vitalik's post. Okay, let's check out. I love that Vitalik has been dropping a lot of posts with a lot of thoughts these days, and let's kind of go through. Like, I'm not gonna read through all of it because this is like blah, he writes so long. But anyhow, let's kind of read what he says. I think it's healthy for us in the Ethereum world to have a more bold and open mindset to many things, particularly on the application layer and how we see ourselves in the world. We should not compromise our core properties, so censorship, resistance, open source, privacy, security, and so forth. Like, don't drop those. But let's see if I can distill to the point. So here's one example last year was the shift to thinking about privacy as a first-class consideration, something we value equally to other types of security. This implies a radically different Ethereum application stack, because the entire stack so far has not been built around privacy. Great, let's build a radically different Ethereum application stack. Yeah, so I'm not sure, like, using ZK, you can read through his whole post. I think he's kind of, if you were to filter through if you would take AI and say, like, scan all of his most recent tweets, you would, and sort them based on these, like, criteria of, like, DeFi, privacy, quantum computing, things like this, you would probably see that he does talk about privacy quite a lot. And it makes me kind of wonder why, why he's so concerned about privacy. But I think privacy is important, and there are a lot of privacy solutions already on Ethereum through smart contracts and ZK knowledge. But he kind of wants to make the actual chain itself a little bit more private, which is interesting. I don't know how he's going to do it. It's beyond my ability. Like, I don't understand how even the ZK privacy smart contracts work as, like, privacy pools and stuff. Like, I understand how to use them and kind of what's happening, but I don't understand how the ZK kind of works and stuff like that in that sense. So I don't really want to even understand it completely. I just don't have the energy to try to really open up that can of worms. But you'll see that he does talk a little about privacy, and then goes in here a little bit about AI and stuff. So yeah, I will tweet. I'll retweet this, and you can kind of read through Vitalik's post here and get a little bit more knowledge on what he's advocating for. So Ramses says, "Stay safe out there, traders. Bear markets are difficult to navigate." So, are we in a bear market? I don't know. It kind of feels like we're not. Like, yeah, of course, if you were to say since August, we're in a bear market because the trend is clearly down. But if you were to say since February, so like since this last month, we're kind of really crabbing across. Are we going to move up from here, or are we going to continue to move down? I'm not sure. I'm betting we're moving up and hoping that I'm right. But yeah, so Ramses is just like, they're just talking about their auto votes again, which I've shared quite a bit. But you can check their auto votes. They're nice. Like, if you're gonna hold Ramses through this bear market, and you don't want to, you want to step away from the computer, this is a fantastic way, because they will vote for you, they will sell for you, and they will collect your bribes and sell your bribes for you, which is a fantastic way, because you don't have to every Wednesday decide what you want to vote on, allocate your votes, sell the dust you get in all these different voting pools and what have you. So you can just let them do that for you. Okay, so here's an interesting tweet. So a Carnation retweeted Junk Bonds Investor, and I replied to it. Okay, so you can kind of read through it, but let's just get right into the Junk Bond Investor and read what that is. Okay, so here it is. BlackRock. So BlackRock marked a private credit loan at 100 cents on the dollar, so 1-to-1, in quarter 3. By quarter 4, so 3 months later, it was a big fat 0. Not 80, not 50, 0 in 3 months. So what does this mean? It's like a private loan to a, what is it? BlackRock. Who's the company that they loaned it to? Loan to Infinite Commerce Holdings, a so-called Amazon aggregator. Okay, so they lent $25 million to this company, and they declared that loan as worth 100 cents for every $1. So $1 for $1. So the loan was like prime, like perfect. It was worth exactly what they loaned it. Now, it doesn't, like, I'm not sure if they can put more than 100 cents. Like, if they were to lend this money to someone, they're guaranteed to get paid back and interest. Can they then price that loan value at like 110 cents? I don't know if that's legal or allowed in the traditional finance, but basically when they first declared this loan, they're like, yeah, this thing's perfect. We're gonna get all our money back, and then we'll get our interest as well, right? And in 3 months later, they're like, yeah, we're going to get nothing back. Now, that's interesting in its own thing. It's private loans. It's, TradFi finance. They can give out loans to private companies and take this risk. That's all good in hell. But what me and Carnation are talking about is like, she's like, what could possibly go wrong with these things get tokenized and used as collateral on chain? And I'm like, RWA at its finest, so fine. like a particle of dust. So what is it? What are we talking about? Like this loan here should never this junk bond investor, like this private loan between BlackRock and this Infinite Commerce Holdings should not be tokenized and traded as an actual valuable asset, because in 3 months it could go to zero. That's like a rug. If that happens in a DeFi protocol, then it'll be all over the news saying this thing's exploited. This is a rug. So like we have to be very careful about like TradFi bringing in their like terrible financial instruments and throwing them as tokens on the chain and being like, oh, it's BlackRock, therefore it must be good, it must be safe, because you can clearly see that they take a high risk on some of these things. Like in 3 months, they lost $25 million. They declared that this company is like, it's probably bankrupt, right? Is likely to pay back nothing. So we have to be very careful about, like, if you are deciding to like use real world assets as collateral, or you are lending your stable coins to people who are using real world asset tokens as collateral. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking about Morpho. Make sure you understand the collateral that you're lending your assets to. Don't just look at the APY and be like, yeah, this APY is good, I gotta juice it up, right? So yeah, so consider that. Think about that. Like this is literally like a junk bond. It's a perfect junk bond investor. This is a junk bond. And if we tokenize this, if they tokenize it, be careful about lending to these junk bond tokenized trash things, right? It's just terrible. Okay, I got 2 more tweets for you, and they are kind of general world stuff. I couldn't decide which one of these I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to talk about them both, okay? So here you have DC Investor retweeting the White House. The White House has got this like video. It's like just basically a montage of like movies about war and killing and just war and just Hollywood like glorifying war, basically, right? And you can watch through this thing. It's interesting. It's well made in some ways. It's hyped up, and like you can hear it. It's fantastic. Nice little clip, right? But DC Investor has a very serious point. He's like, war is a serious matter. It's not a video game. It's not a movie, right? Americans are dying. Allies are dying. Iranian civilians are dying. It's expected and appropriate to treat it like a serious matter, not a video game you are playing with someone else's lives. And Scoopy comes in and says, after everything has come to light, absolutely disregard for human lives and dignity in all things is rather on brand. Trumpism, Epsteinism is rooted in making it acceptable to feel good about doing bad things. Yeah, I agree with this. Like it's pretty, I'm not going to say it's clear, but if someone were to say to me that they have proof that this war was initiated to you know, what's the word, to misdirect people's attention away from Epstein, then I would believe them. Then of course I would look at his proof, right? But my initial response would be, yeah, probably. Let's look what he has to say. It wouldn't be, oh, he's crazy, conspiracy theorist. No, I wouldn't think that. I would think, yeah, he's probably right. Let's check what he has to say. And this kind of goes to show, like, what are they doing? Like, they're blowing up, like, it's like, go America, hey USA, okay USA, right? It's terrible, right? It's coming from the White House. It's not like some media outlet or some Hollywood, executive or, Paramount movie films. This is literally the White House, like saying, yeah, let's go. America's on fire. America, go, go, go. It's terrible. Now, I do get, like, American pride, but, like, America has almost no business in Iran. Like, of course, there's money to be made. There's the American war machine. There is all kinds of reasons to do it. But it's not like America is in any way threatened by Iran. Now, Iran might, have its problems as well. It has a terrible dictator, and it might be expanding. And who's going to stop them if not America? There is that a question, but it's not glorious. It should be like putting a dog down. Like the dog is sick, and let's put him down. That's not something you like. Yeah, let's go. Right? You just it's sad, right? So anyhow, moving on. Here we have Matthias Schmidt. This cracked me up. So he's got a daily timeline. He's like a perfect Friday in Netherlands. And it sounds pretty um, satirish. It reads quite well. So I don't want to read all of it, but it's like I'll read some of these cool things. So he's like, check portfolio down 10%, pay 36% tax on unrealized gains. That's terrible. Pick up my wife from her boyfriend's apartment. Eat potatoes for lunch. Apply for a permit on a second bicycle. At 5 o'clock. 9 o'clock, eat potatoes for dinner. And 2200, sleep on the couch because your wife's boyfriend is staying over. So, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if his life is actually like that, or if that's the normal life of someone in Netherlands. But like, I do think, like, it does sound like truthful. Again, it sounds like this guy's life might actually be like this, and he knows someone whose life is like this, and it's not a crazy thing. It's not a wild thing. Like the boyfriend thing sucks big, really big. The bicycle stuff. He says he got a ticket for riding his bicycle a little too fast. Like that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like I think I'm kind of against overregulation in some ways. Like, like if you want to put your family at risk because you want to, rewire your house by yourself, I can see that as being fine. It's your call, if you don't want to hire an electrician to rewire your house. But there is the case of, maybe my house goes on fire, it spreads and burns my neighbor's house down. Like that's a different story. Like I'm in an apartment building maybe, and I got to rewire my house and burn the whole building down. Like that's different than, you've got a cabin out, out of town, or a house, and you've got your neighbors. You can't even throw a rock and hit your neighbor's house. Like that's a way different story, right? So anyhow, I thought I would just share these last little ones and talk a little bit about life and so forth as usual. But I hope this has been interesting and enjoyable. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.